The American socialist left is feeling really bold right now. They're feeling invincible. They think they've harnessed the power of the mob, and they think they have successfully looted a presidential election. And now there are new threats, creative threats, to get rid of President Trump once and for all. They mean to force, here's how they mean to do it. They mean to force the deep state to arrest and then drag the president from the White House. But do you know what happened when the socialist left tried something similar in Romania? Here's the story. The year was 1989. A cruel socialist dictator was in power, backed by the Soviet army. And this little dictator insisted that he was, of course, the most important man in the nation, when in fact the real leader was a humble theologian who had the nation's interests at heart. This courageous preaching of this theologian exposed the truth and angered the tyrant. And so to silence this hero, the dictator ordered the secret police to arrest this Christian leader and drag him out of his house, he and his whole family. The theologian's neighbors heard about this unjust eviction order, and they gathered to block the door from the secret police, so the secret police simply could not get in and make the arrest and drag him out of the house. Over the next few hours, as the secret police were trying to figure out what to do, we just shoot everybody? We need to get orders from on high. They were waiting, and during that time, more citizens arrived to keep the vigil and guard the house of this brave theologian, whose wife, by the way, was pregnant and ill. Now, when the Soviets cut off power to the house and all food ration cards and authority, the neighbors, of course, provided everything that was needed for them. And during the night and before morning, hundreds had formed more people had come, and they had formed a thicker protective barrier around the house. And this massive crowd then began early in the morning singing hymns and the patriotic song, "Wake Up Romanians," which had been banned for 42 years by the communist dictatorship. Now, more hours passed. The crowds grew larger, and a human chain was formed around the entire block. And the secret police were simply unable to gain access to the house. The communist mayor at that point gave an ultimatum for the crowd to disperse or face fire brigade cannons. And when the water cannons arrived, there were simply so many people there in the crowds, it was not hard for them to seize the cannons, to break them apart and throw the pieces in the river. And they did this, shouting, "Down with the regime, down with communism." Now, it was at this point the little dictator needed to do something. So he and his Jezebelish wife ordered the army to come. He ordered tanks in and the infantry, and he ordered them to fire into the crowd. An unknown number were killed at that point because the bodies were confiscated by the army and cremated. Now, the next day, what happened? Tens of thousands of industrial workers descended on the area peacefully. They took up the protest until the entire city was protesting the eviction of this heroic pastor from his house. And when news of this massive citizen protest and the violent government crackdown spread around Romania, it triggered many more protests. And this is what quickly escalated into the Romanian Revolution of 1989 that overthrew Ceaușescu and the communist government. And so this is the short history. Within 10 days of that attempted eviction, the dictator and his wife were arrested and tried and executed for genocide and for making war against the people. And that's how a good man was protected and how freedom was returned to the people. Now, if you'd like to hear more stories that hold lessons for the challenges of this particular time in American history, please do subscribe and share these videos and get on the notification list. Thank you.